What's going on, everyone? It's Mike back again, and I'm back with my rock, the man that I in terms of Everton content, I text the most. Me and Mills, we're friends now. We're not just fellow creators. We're mates.
Absolutely.
First and foremost, how are you?
Okay, it is 2:00 on Sunday. I'm a lot better than what I was at 5:00 yesterday. I'm hoping to be, by the time this video's out, a lot happier. I think there's no secret that something's happening, whether it be today or tomorrow. It is what it is. I think we'll probably get into the thick of it and chew the meat off the bones on this show today, but what's about to happen had to happen. It had to happen. And there should be no, I told you so. There should be no, I didn't realise. I think now, more than anything, the fans need to come together.
Yeah, I actually couldn't agree more. You know, it was... I did the journey. You know, I was there yesterday.
Yeah.
Those away fans that well, I say those. We were credit to our football club yesterday. You know, we tried to get the players going. We sang before the game. We were there. You know, we did everything we could, I felt, to get a result. And then the boys, within a 3-minute period, really let us down. And I almost don't want to single out players, but I think we've got to a little bit of a degree, because there is players that have been at Everton a decent amount of time now that just aren't good enough. And, you know, for whatever reason, need to be moved on. And yesterday sort of highlighted the players who are good enough and aren't good enough. And it felt a bit surreal to me, because it was so obvious. Like, it was so obvious. Then obviously the manager, yeah, I mean, there's a lot to chew. There's a lot of fat to chew here.
Let's do it. No, I mean, I didn't go to the game. I haven't been to an away game for a while now. Lots of fans who go there every week. Fantastic. And what I will point out is, I know you guys who were there yesterday don't know this, but the commentary did point out how you behind the lads. The commentators did say there was chance against the manager, and they did point out that someone went onto the pitch, but at no point during the commentary on the zone stream, which was Tony Gale, he was praising the fans as well. He was saying that when the team came over the second half, that, you know, the players on the right hand side were getting encouraged. When Everton scored, there was loud songs. The fans wanted Everton to score. They wanted Everton back in the game, and I got that impression as well. Obviously, we've seen the banners. Big media outlets were quick to show full time. I've never seen a camera pan to an away end fast enough. I've always said on this show, and I think you've agreed, that the media are waiting for Evertonians to be the pantomime villains this year. But by no means were the Evertonians in the end painted that way on the commentary yesterday. They were praised, and I thought, from listening to it, I thought you were brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
We had to be. You know, it sounds silly, but we had to be, because there were some performances yesterday, and I'm actually, people won't necessarily, you know, I think what's going to epitomise the fact that we all need to come together is really, I didn't watch, I listened, because I was driving. It's not like I can watch my phone while I'm, you know, driving, but I listened to the match reactions from other channels yesterday in the car. I asked Bing to skip through them all, and we were listening. The Toffee TV one by Ped and Baz was brilliant. Ped was fantastic. His comments were spot on. The Toffee Blues, their reaction a little bit later, brilliant. Credit. Every single content creator yesterday, in my opinion, sung off the same hymn sheet yesterday, which was, there is certain individual players that we have to stop making excuses for. There is people at the club that we have to stop making excuses for, and the man at the top, we have to stop making excuses for. And I think finally this season, the pennies turned, or the pennies dropped a little bit, because this isn't his first managerial disaster by any stretch of anyone's imagination, and this one's been the worst. But
It was always going to be, though. Sorry to interrupt. It was always going to be. Everybody could see it.
Yeah.
The most positive Evertonians still knew that it would come. They may not agree with it. There may still be Evertonians now who are saying no matter the manager, no matter the coach, he has to be given time because it is such a mess from top to bottom. But they knew it would come to this. That manager, rightly or wrongly, was never going to get past a bad run. This is not a bad run. This is atrocious. And what we're about to talk about and the club and the situation that we're in, and you're right in saying that Toffee TV and Toffee Blues done great reactions. I listened to them myself this morning on Sunday morning. Excuse me, I was watching yours last night, which is also brilliant. I just think a lot of negativity and, of course, what's happening on the pitch was down to him, and he had to be removed. It got to the point where he had to go.
Yeah.
And I think if Carlo Ancelotti was still here and we endure the exact same run and performances, it would be coming to the end for Carlo Ancelotti as well. Yes, there were lots of Evertonians who wanted the manager to be gone as soon as we got beat by Watford. The club didn't react to that. The club didn't listen to that. He was navigating through some choppy waters. It's so bad on the pitch at the minute that no manager who gets 6 points from September, 6 points from September to January. I was on the Across the Park instant match reaction after the Brighton game, and I said, if we do that in the second half of the season, I don't care if there are 3 worst teams in the league. We are going to be right in the shit until the end of it.
Yeah.
Yesterday, his stubbornness in that team that he put out there, and I understand Richarlison wasn't fully fit. I understand Yerry Mina wasn't fully fit. I understand maybe Andros Townsend wasn't fully fit, and Al Ghazi is not his signing. But at some point, you have to look at that and say, I've got to stop playing certain players. I cannot afford to play Michael Keane. I would be better putting in Jared Branthwaite. I cannot afford to play Andre Gomez. I have to revert back to Fabian Delph or give Jean-Philippe Gbamin another go because it's not working. And if you get to the top of the pitch, and I don't even know where he was playing yesterday because it wasn't as a number 9. It wasn't in a 2. He had to not play Solomon Rondon. All I was seeing on Friday on my Twitter timeline and in my WhatsApp groups with Evertonians when Everton released this training montage of everybody fit apart from Tom Davies was there are no excuses if it goes wrong on Saturday. And he should have looked at that and gone, okay, I'm navigating through waters. If we beat Norwich and if I look ahead and I get Everton into the FA Cup 5th round, I might last the season. If I box clever here, he didn't. He doesn't deserve anybody who still supports him or wanted to support him. God love you. I don't know how you are a much better forgiving person than me.
Yeah,
I was at the very end with it, and I wanted it to work. I spun it when we
both
had when he came in the summer. I think the pair of us said, forget what the cop-outs saying, because they were straight away. They were saying we're going to sing his name at Goodison Park. We're going to sing his name when we and they did. But we spun it by saying, imagine if we carry an FA Cup down Queen's Drive past Anfield. Imagine we do that. He will wipe out his legacy at Anfield. So we wanted it to work. We really, really did. Well, I did anyway. I know you did.
Yeah, I did.
It got to the point. Yesterday was unforgivable the way they were set up. And there's a lot of poor players out there, but he had options yesterday to not play them. We were not bare bones. We were not playing the kids. We were not full of COVID-19 cases. We were playing a team who hadn't scored in 6 games, who are probably one of the worst teams in the league, who will be relegated this season. And we set up in a formation that was not suitable for the players who were playing in it. And we set up the players who were not suitable for the formation that was set up. It was chaos. It was crazy. It got to the point now where he had to be let go.
Yeah, there's absolutely no arguing with it. It was weird, to be honest. It was really weird because I'm telling you now, the first half, was such a surreal thing watching Everton, because you could almost tell, Andre Gomez was not suited to that role in midfield. It was almost like he tried to deploy him as like an 8, where he's ball carry and pass forward. In the first half, he couldn't do that. He couldn't keep hold of the ball. His touch was horrendous. His passing, his distribution was shocking. He would not be anywhere near a starting 11 for me. And I liked Andre Gomez. Like I give the man the earth when we signed him on loan, and when he played, and even I thought he was rubbish before his ankle injury, but everyone still used that as an excuse for it.
You're right.
He was pants. Michael Keane, his turning, his distribution. I remember saying that he turned like Titanic. It was worse. He hit the iceberg dead on yesterday. Honest to God, there was nothing. Which was such a shame, because in the game midweek against Hull, which, I mean, there might be a couple of Norwich fans that are watching this, but it's no disrespect, but I thought Hull were a decent side. I didn't put much between Hull and Norwich. I really didn't. And Michael Keane was ball carrying from the back. Yes, we conceded goals. We know we're going to concede goals. My preview said we were going to concede goals. But the fact he was ball carrying, he was carrying the ball forward, I was like, well, let's see a bit more of this, Michael Keane. Let's do that. But we couldn't win anything in midfield, so we were constantly hemmed in. Mikolenko, I'm not digging him out, but he was shit yesterday. He was shit. I'm not saying he's going to be shit.
Yeah. I'm not saying they targeted him.
Yeah. I'm not saying he's going to be shit. He could well be the best left back Everton have ever signed. I don't know, but the facts are he was rubbish yesterday. There's a player in there. He got himself an assist, or at least the ball got knocked into the box for sure. There's a player in there. But yesterday, in terms of how important that game was, we needed a Luka Dean. We needed an experienced body. We needed someone who could play. And that would have been, for me, Ben Godfrey. Ben Godfrey would have gone on the left. Yerry Mina would have come and slot in. Whether it be Branthwaite, Keane alongside Mina, not bothered. And I would have started, because, by the way, I don't understand why this kid isn't getting the game at the minute. I would have started Patterson over Coleman, because Coleman's gonna hear a bit of a home truth here. I love Coleman. I absolutely adore the man as an Evertonian, as someone who's committed himself to our football club, who wasn't an Evertonian and has bought into it and took that captaincy on. Yeah. He's not a captain. He's not a leader, but he is someone that I would at least say used to put everything on that pitch. I did not see that at any point yesterday. I saw an Everton captain giving the ball away constantly, not being prepared to go over the halfway line. And Luka Dean had a dig at Rafa Benitez about this. He's not at the club anymore. Coleman should be saying to Rafa, this doesn't work. He's the captain of our football club. And I don't think that conversation has happened, because if it had happened, you'd have probably found Coleman would have been dropped. All I want to see is players dedicated to this football club, not you starting on that pitch. And I don't understand how some of those players started. And Solomon Rondon, there's going to be people that probably disagree with me here, but he put more of a shift in yesterday than I've seen him putting in a blue shirt. And I don't know what position he played in. He was prepared to battle. He was trying to carry the ball forward. There was a couple of neat little touches, little passes out wide. Rondon was the least of my worries yesterday, because Everton defensively were absolutely diabolical. Midfield to defence was shocking. Rondon, every time he got the ball, his job was to try and carry it. We know Rondon can't do that job. So I can't sit here and insult him. He tried. He actually tried. So I'm not digging out Rondon from yesterday, but some of those players on that pitch were a disgrace, and the manager put them on there, and rightly so. He's been sacked. But again, and I don't know if you agree with me, Melzer, he should have been sacked weeks ago. We shouldn't even be in this position. We should have been sacked weeks ago. And that is because we've got, again, in my opinion, you might not agree with this, but an inept owner who doesn't know what he's doing, with a board of directors that I'm starting to think maybe I don't know, and no, I don't think we should know, but I don't know the internals between. Does Ken Wright ever speak to Mashiri and say to him, enough's enough, like, enough's enough, this is rubbish, you are doing a bad job at my football club that I love, and I'm the best blue, and I'm top blue, and does he have that conversation with him? Has Ken Wright had it out with Mashiri? Because that's the only thing at this point I would be grateful for, someone top level having a go at him, because he needs to know that he's destroying our fan base, our passion, our football club, his appointments, the money spent, the signings. They're not good enough. And I'm grateful for the stadium. But honestly, if we get that stadium and Mashiri sells, so be it. I couldn't care less.
I think what you've just said, there's lots and lots that I agree with there. Passionate as always. We've moved on to Ken Wright and Mashiri now. It's for me, it's a very simple answer to what you've just asked. Should Ken Wright be doing that? My answer is no, because he shouldn't even be there.
Well,
he sold the club 6 years ago. I don't know the ins and outs of the financial gain that he made, but I imagine he did. So at that point, there should have been a handshake, and it should have been a lifelong season ticket that comes with a roast dinner for every home game and a bottle of bubbly. Thank you so much for what you've done, Bill. I'll take it from here. You're always welcome. There's a seat for you in the main stand, but when it comes to the boardroom, we've moved on. The fact that Bill Kenwright was being praised by the Rangers chairman for being so great to work with during the Patterson negotiations. The rumours that Bill Kenwright was the one who last night did do what you've just asked, that he did, contact Bashiri and say that we need a board meeting, we need to discuss this. That shouldn't be happening. How does someone who sold the club 6 years ago still have the title chairman and still makes decisions? How does that happen? It wouldn't happen in any other walk of life. No. If me and you owns we owns a pub and we sold it, do we still do the shift rota for Christmas? Of course not. We go and have a pint on Boxing Day and we say, how's it going? I love this place, and we might get a free shot from the owner who might be really, really good to us. I ain't doing the fucking shift rota. Why is Bill Kenwright still making decisions at Everton Football Club? So I understand the question, but my answer is very simple. He shouldn't even be involved, other than do an exclusive for, if Everton made an Everton FC TV, give them an exclusive, write something in the programme, get involved with Everton in the community, do the raffle at half-time, do that, enjoy the fruits of your labour, enjoy the profit, enjoy trying to watch this club grow like we all are. Stop making, he shouldn't be there. And there's people at the club who won't like this, and I'm not sorry for it. I've felt this way for a long time. If the decision was made in March 2016 to sell Everton Football Club, then fucking sell Everton Football Club. Sell it. Don't hold on. Just, if you want a title, put a title in the contract negotiations that you're a lifetime legacy president, and you'll always be part of Everton Football Club, and that will be passed on to your family. Got no issues with that. We can't be having that many chefs in the kitchen anymore. It's ridiculous. And what's happened now is we've almost gone the other way, where the current manager has got rid of the fucking medical department have gone, because for some reason he didn't deem them to be qualified enough. But I don't know who's qualified enough to manage Fabian fucking Delph anyway, and his fitness, and John Philip Gabaman's fitness. So he's got rid of all those. He's got rid of a director of football who, in hindsight, and this will make people disagree with me 100%, in hindsight, the model of the director of football and coach, Brandon Silva, was the right model. It just exploded in 2019 when the coach lost his spine and was provided with inadequate replacements. That's where that went wrong, because that end of 18-19 season was brilliant. From stopping that lot win the league to beating Chelsea, United, and Arsenal at home, having really good performances. Richarlison was looking fantastic. Dominic Calvert-Lewin was growing into the team. That was the model. That's now gone. That model's fucked off. So we've now gone to no chefs in the kitchen, from 8 chefs in the kitchen to 2, and neither of them have got a fucking clue what they're doing. It's a mess.
Do you know what you've just said? I'll go back and I'll go back to that transfer window. I will never forget doing a video on deadline day of that summer that you've just mentioned, and the abuse I got for saying that we let Marco Silva down. The abuse I got from everyone saying, you don't know what you're talking about. We've replaced Ghana with Gabamin. I even had fan channels and content creators digging me out on Twitter. And you said, rightly so, this isn't about I told you so. This isn't about I told you so. But this just proves how someone can see it. I'm not saying that I was right or they were wrong, but we could see how it was going to go 3 years ago. And we knew when we got to a point like this, there is no direction, there is no identity, the boardroom don't know what they're doing. We've managed to bring in a manager that has got rid of a player who I defended, by the way. There was a lot of people on here that said if he doesn't want to play for Everton Football Club, fuck him off. He doesn't deserve to be here. Maybe he didn't want to play for Rafa. Maybe he wanted to play for the fans. Maybe he wanted to play these games. But because Luca Dean was a professional and didn't open his mouth, maybe Luca Dean should have come out like Martial has with Rangnick and said, I want to play football. I've never turned down playing football. He's chatting shit. Maybe he should have done that. But what we have learned, some fans have learned in the last 24 hours, is all of what you've said. We've managed to bring in someone which has completely destabilised everything at our football club, from our medical team to our best left back in our defence to losing a director of football, for him to be given the cars to the fucking key. He was given the keys. Sorry, I can't even fucking talk. He was given the keys to the car in terms of transfers. Bill Kenwright, Denise, whoever else is on that board, possibly would have been sitting there thinking, fucking hell, because we know Rafa wasn't their choice. We know that. We heard that in the summer. And you've got Mashiri at the top, who hasn't been to a game in God knows how long, who will happily go to Liverpool for a lunch with Rafa Benitez, which, by the way, that wasn't as rosy as people were thinking it was. You know, I understand, you know, from I think the reports come out on Twitter the other day that it wasn't a rosy lunch. You know, people weren't happy. There was this needs to change. And none of that has happened. And now we're in the shit creek where we don't know what manager we need, because there's various options of type of manager we can go for, but none of us know what we want. So again, all of the fan base isn't punching in, say, one or two directions, because there's about 6 people that people could potentially want. So none of us know. And we can't spend any, we can't, by all accounts, spend any money because of financial fair play. So whatever manager comes in has got his arm tied behind his back before he even fucking starts.
So us fans don't know who to support or which way to go. So the 27 campaign, there's people who feel so strongly about it, and there's people who feel the other way about it, which is fine. But you're looking at a divide straight away. I'll ask you a couple of questions, and I think we'll get to my point by doing it this way. When Farhad Moshiri, 2 months into his reign, decided Roberto Martinez and his staff weren't going to work for Everton Football Club, and I say his staff because there was coaches and there was physios who went with him, who do you think stuck up for Duncan Ferguson in that boardroom?
Kenwright.
Okay. Who do you think at a youth development level gave Jose Baxter, Phil Jevons and Francis Jeffers jobs?
Kenwright and Unsworth.
And we found out, and so there's the youth team setup sorted. So we've got a coach who one person has chosen, and the academy is being chosen by the same person. Who do you think chose Carlo Ancelotti and Rafael Benitez?
Farhad Moshiri.
How can it work? How can that combine? How can that efficiently work where one part of the club, which is meant to feed the other, is being ran with one vision and another vision? How can that work? How can this football club function? And then how are the set of fans meant to see the same thing and all agree?
And then on top of that, We had a director in football in place that may well have known what he's doing, but got tarred with bushes for signing players like Iwobi, for not doing anything on the youth development side. And how much impact did he actually have on that? We'll never know. So
we will never know.
So yeah, yeah, mate. Yeah, we go. Yeah, I agree. Fucking hell, what a fucking car crash we are at board level as well. Honestly, what a time to be a Blur. What a time.
And do you know what? I can imagine now. So where we are as a football club right now, what we need in an ideal world, which we're not going to get, but what we need is to have a plan to go and find a forward-thinking coach who has got a plan or an identity, or he's got a plan to produce an identity, and we know he's a good coach. We need him to come into a football structure that I'll give you between any point in the last 6 years should have been implemented. So at any point, Mr. Moshiri, I'll give you from March 16 to January 22, at any point in those near 6 years, that should have been implemented. So that's where we should be. We are a million miles away from it. And what's going to happen? And I hate this to sound negative because it might happen and it might work, and I'm not for or against it. But what's going to happen is Bill Kenwright is going to pop in the DVD of the Arsenal game in 2002, get the violin out, show the Wayne Rooney goal, and the decision will be made because Moshiri gets a name, Kenwright gets his Evertonian, and there's no fucking structure whatsoever. All over again, we're going to pin all our hopes on a young, ambitious, young manager. If it goes tits up, we hit the emergency brake again, and we do this show exactly like this again. That's what I think will happen, and it's so far away from where we should be. If Moshiri had been there from the summer and this was happening, I would be like, okay, we need to give this guy time. You need time. You've had 6 years. You've had 6 years to get it right on the pitch, and thank you so much. I'm with Mike. Thank you so much for Bramley Moore. I hope it'll be a game changer. I hope my son and my daughter and their children watch amazing nights in that stadium. It's going to be fantastic. But fuck me, lads. If this carries on, there's not going to be amazing nights. There's going to be relegation battles season after season, and fans will walk away.
And our kids won't be going. Our kids won't go.
Why would you? Unless your father and my father made us support Everton, which I'm so thankful for, because Evertonians are chosen, and I love being an Evertonian. We're such a special breed that we fucking rant away and we hate it whilst we still love it, and that's what's special about us. But if someone said to me, without that feeling in my heart, if someone said to me, would you support Everton as a 6, 7, 8-year-old kid? Would you spend your pocket money without any influence at all? Of course you wouldn't. You wouldn't. You just would. You wouldn't pick this life. You just wouldn't.
You wouldn't. And this is what I was saying. There's people. I'm 29 years old, and I've seen us win fuck all, because I don't count an FA Cup when I'm 3 years old as me seeing it. I don't count that. I don't know about you, but I never took my lad to a game when he was 3 years old. So I don't remember us winning the fucking FA Cup. I've watched the game on highlights and all sorts. I've seen all of them, 85, 80, I've seen everything. But I have never seen us be successful. And I am 29 years old. Listen to that, Millsy. I'm 29 years old, and there's people my age that point blank refuse to go and watch that shit now. To go and watch that shit. Because what's the point? All you're doing is spending hundreds of pounds to have your heart broken every week. And there is fans, not me. I'm a complete diehard, I can be a wool and a fat brummy twat to as many of you lot as you want, but I'm a diehard blue, and there's no difference from me being from fucking L4 and being from B32. There's no fucking difference. But the difference with this football club and the mentality and the people at board level are making people my age not want to take their kids, not want to have to deal with it. That was Finley's first time he's been to a proper away day in the away stand. He's been to West Brom. We sat in the home fan stand. It was a 0-0 draw. I almost didn't get him back to a game of football because it was the worst thing I've ever watched in my life. He went to that game yesterday, and the only thing that made him buzz was the fact that there was almost a fucking riot. Not the game, not the players, not the football. The fact that the fans were so angry and Finley got right into it without having a fucking clue what he was talking about. He was just like, yeah, sack him, sack the lot of them. Didn't have a Scooby-Doo what he was going on. He was telling me yesterday, he said, my favourite player is the goalkeeper. I was like, Jordan Pickford, yeah. He was calling him Prickford because he didn't understand. He didn't get it. His speech ain't great. So we were sitting there yesterday, and my little boy, who had travelled 350 miles, got up at 7 o'clock. And he's not the only one. There was tons of kids there. So every single one this applies to. He got up at 7:30. He didn't get home last night until 10:30, and he was still going on about supporting the Blues and watching us and the riot. Now, if we go and beat a Watford 1-0 at home, which we can't, we've already lost to them. But if we did that, that would have less of an impact on what happened yesterday. And the reason for that is the fans. My boy wants to go and support our fans, not the team, not the manager, not the board, the fans, because he knew he had to back everyone who was screaming towards the players, screaming towards the board, screaming. He's 9 years old. And the only thing we have got is to support each other. That is how shit this football club is. And I do want to get onto it because you've mentioned it. Obviously, whatever points you've got to make, Millsy, this is equally your show. But I do want to talk about managers and what you feel and I feel, because following your early point, I actually think we're going to disagree with this one, which could be interesting. So what's your take? So who do you want, or is there a plan you've got in your head or whatever?
No, I've been asked this by tongue-in-cheek, cop-eye friends who are saying, well, why do you want to get rid of Benitez if you don't know who you want? And I've been asked in serious discussions like this. I don't know who I want to come in, and it does worry me that there's no standout candidates. And it worries me that there's no director of football who should be unearthing a coach that, when Pochettino first came into England, no one knew who he was. When Arsene Wenger came, did anyone know who he was? He came from the Japanese league. So you expect people to be able to identify. I don't expect the club at the minute, the way it's in, to identify a coach. So you're looking at the list of the usual candidates. Yeah. You're looking at Wayne Rooney. You're looking at Duncan Ferguson. You're looking at Frank Lampard, Nuno Espirito Santo. I think on Saturday, I think the ground needs Duncan Ferguson. I think that's what it needs. My worry is me. I'm guilty of this. I'm throwing it back to the Chelsea game when he was in charge. What happens if we get beat 3-0 on Saturday under Duncan Ferguson? What does that do? What does that do to him? What does that do to us as a fan base and how we connect to Duncan Ferguson? I do think we need that for Saturday. I think it's a risk, but I think we need it. We just need to be together. Yeah. I don't think Duncan Ferguson. I mean, I've seen. I know there were a couple of shouts yesterday towards Ferguson, and he's been under 6 managers now. This is going to be the 6th manager or the 5th manager that he's been under who failed. So I do get that. I just think that for whatever reason, and I can never explain it. When you love something, I think when you love something, you can't explain it. Evertonians generally love Duncan Ferguson, and there is that connection to it, me included. So for Saturday, I'd be more than happy for Duncan Ferguson to take it, but I would not be happy really for Duncan Ferguson to take it beyond that. And there's a couple of reasons why. I think when he left the game as a player, he completely left the game, and his only development as a coach has been at Everton Football Club. Yeah. So he's ingrained in 2013 to 2022 Everton, which has not been the best, other than 1 season under Roberto Martinez, half a season under Carlo Ancelotti, and half a season under Marco Silva. So 1.5 seasons out of 9, he's ingrained in that. That's his development as a coach. I also think, if you look at Steven Gerrard, when he was working at the Liverpool Academy, he chose to go and earn his stripes elsewhere. Duncan Ferguson has never done that. Yeah. I don't think, based on those two things, I don't think he'd be suitable as a long-term Everton manager. I think he would give you the new manager bounce, and he would give you the connection. And by God, if Duncan Ferguson's Everton beats Steven Gerrard's Aston Villa on Saturday, the Winslow disco will be absolutely bouncing, and that's the mood we need right now. Wayne Rooney is doing a really good job at Derby. A really good job at Derby. He's so young in his career that to put him from one mess into another, I think what Wayne Rooney needs is now to go and get success at a Rangers or a Celtic, similar to the Gerrard route where you now go to, because you've seen what happened with Lampard at Chelsea. You see where they called upon him, and the Chelsea board used Lampard as a shield when they had the transfer ban because they knew the fans wouldn't turn. But then as soon as Lampard was able to build a football team, he brought the right personnel in, because it showed when Tuchel won the Champions League that same season. But he ultimately failed as the coach. Do we go there to someone who's failed with a much, much higher level of talent than what we're going to give him? No. Nuno Espirito Santo, I think, would be an absolute disaster. I think he would be an absolute disaster. I did not want him when he was linked in the summer. I know you had the Wolves fans who you're friends with on your show in the summer. I forget the names. I'm sorry. One of them was really supportive of him, and the other one was saying it was time to go. If Wolves fans are saying it's time to go, then I don't want him. Who else does that leave? I don't know. I just know this wasn't working, and I believe I was entitled to that opinion that we needed to change without knowing the answer to it. I think the standout candidate, if I was pushed until the end of the season, for me would be Duncan Ferguson. What about you?
So firstly, on the first point you made about Ferguson, and the second point, I absolutely agree with. He's ingrained with mediocrity. He's ingrained with average. He's not. I'm going to point this at Duncan, not because I don't like Duncan. I love Duncan just like we all love Duncan. But he's had this acceptance to stay at Everton when really he should have been putting himself about and getting that job, getting that experience, just like you just said. And I do put that on Duncan. I don't put that on the fact that jobs haven't been there. You know, if you need to go out and get experience, put yourself up for certain jobs that have come up in the Championship. Put yourself up for jobs in Scotland. Go and apply for them. Go and have the interviews. Go and be successful.
The Newcastle job has been there a number of times.
Yeah,
I mean, I understand the Scotland thing. He's got a personal beef with the Scottish FA. I understand that. But the Newcastle job has been there a few times. Would that not been a chance for him to say, I'll get Newcastle out of the Championship. I'll keep Newcastle up. Yeah. There's lots of jobs he could have gone for, got a year or two experience. And then I think Everton fans, of any manager available, if he had even a year in the Championship where he did a half-decent job, I think it would be a Lampard for Chelsea. He would be there calling. He would be that. That's your job. This is your 3 years. Go and make it happen and carry on, whatever. So I agree with you on Ferguson. I agree with you on Lampard. In terms of his coaching, I don't. If I remember, I mean, you might be able to correct me if you've looked into this, but I don't actually think he left them in that bad a state, did he? Who's this? Santo?
No,
Santo was this? Oh, Lampard. No, I mean, obviously it's chalk and cheese to where we are. I think they might have been out of the Champions League places, and they might have been had a couple of
spending so much money, weren't it?
And when your aim is to be first and you're sixth, I think that's so. He didn't leave them in the ship because Tuchel came in and with those players, he won the Champions League. Tuchel, but Tuchel is an exceptional manager. It's not fair to compare Lampard to that. No. But in answer to your question, I think he was underperforming at Chelsea, Lampard.
Yeah, but I seem to remember he started really well. I seem to remember he went to Man United and won 4-0 or something. I can't quite remember, but I get the point about Lampard. Absolutely. It doesn't rule him out for me, though.
Okay.
There is a reason for that. And the reason for that is he did a great job nurturing the younger players. And when I look at the younger players Everton have got now, we've got 2 young left backs. One, by the way, who's really impressed me with his comments yesterday, which said, "I want to come back and fight for my place, Nils and conquer." I did.
Yeah.
The fact that Luca Dean's no longer at the club and he's on loan is an absolute travesty. Also, when you bear in mind that Thierry Small left in the summer, by the way, as well.
Yeah.
So we've spent £20 million on players that we probably didn't need to, because I rate Nils and conquer. I know he was young and he made a few mistakes, but what 19-year-old doesn't? We've got a young Nathan Patterson. We've got a young Ben Godfrey. We've got a young Anthony Gordon, Yango, other young players that are sort of in and around the youth team. Lewis Dobbin, Ellis Sims. You've got a Lampard as a manager who isn't scared of giving those guys time and learning and developing. And I think all of those would look up to him as an aspirational figure. This is Frank Lampard. This is a guy who's got England caps. This is a well-respected professional in the game. I don't think Lampard's a bad shout for those reasons. Do we need him in a relegation battle if people are going to start saying we are in one? We are only, 6 points off it, is it? Or 5 points off it now? Probably not. You probably would argue with Duncan on a 6-month basis right now because of the passion, the bounce factor that's keeping you up. But when the going gets tough and he doesn't get the results, neither of them have the experience to turn it around.
So for Ferguson, it's dangerous, and the legacy, it's so dangerous.
Yes. Then you look at Rooney. Now, Rooney doesn't have an Everton legacy. He doesn't. No. There's been many people that will say he's a blue through and through, but there's also many people that say he kissed his Man United badge twice when he scored against us. Wayne Rooney doesn't have an Everton legacy. I don't look at Wayne Rooney and go, "You're a legend for Everton Football Club. You're a legend for English football and Man United, but you're not for Everton."
Yeah, the only legacy he's got with us really is that that we produced him. And if you're trying to bring young children across the city now, and you're speaking to parents, you point at what Everton done with Wayne. That's his legacy, that Everton Football Club and Wayne Rooney were together up until the age of 18. That's the legacy. And beyond that, there's nothing. He's not a legend. No.
And the fact that he's got an Everton tattoo on his arm, his kids are Everton fans, he's an Everton fan. None of that can be taken away from Wayne Rooney. That is who he is. Kissing the badge in front of Goodison, maybe it was a bit of a bite back at us fans who, no disrespect to any of us, including myself here, we don't and probably never will know the full story as to what actually happened, because it sounds very much at times like he got sold without wanting to leave. However, could you argue if he did want to leave and he went to Man United, was all the animosity that it caused? So he's used to dealing with a football club in a complete mess. He's used to dealing with a squad of players that is inadequate for the job that he's got. I.e., he walked into Derby, they had 7 first-team players. They've got financial issues. However, he's never managed in the Premier League. He hasn't experienced what it's like going away to Norwich and trying to get 3 points. And even as a player, he can't say that because he only really played, apart from playing for Everton for a season, 18 months. We weren't threatened with relegation the year he played. I don't seem to remember. I know we got knocked out.
He was part of that team that had to have Sam Allardyce come in and help it. So he had a little bit. I think with Rooney. See, I'm not for or against Rooney. I can see the fall, because if you look in black and white at what he's doing, he's doing a really good job. So that should put him in the conversation.
He's almost, out of what he's doing, out of the others, he's almost a standout candidate.
Yes, but the negative for me is he's working with no target. There's no expectations at all from this Derby County Football Club this season, because they've had the playing squad have been stripped to the level of Phil Jagielka at 39. They couldn't be kept on last week. Their fans don't expect them to stay up. They're just happy with passion. Mm. There's no expectations. If Derby got relegated to League One under Wayne Rooney this season, they would still love him. They would still want to keep him. To come into this hot seat is very, very different. It's very, very different. If we manage to sort out the FFP problems and Wayne Rooney is the manager, then you imagine he's going to be given maybe not this summer, but next summer, a significant war chest to turn this round. That's expectations. That's pressure.
And equally, do you agree or disagree with this? But I sort of compare Lampard and Rooney. And I don't know if you do the same, but I compare them both. You've got the professionalism of Frank Lampard against Wayne Rooney, which, no disrespect, the stuff off the field, the England captaincy being stripped from him, the stories you've heard in the press, the aspirations for a young player, that goes against him a little bit in my eyes, because I want the ultimate professional to manage my football club. Do you get what I mean? It's like I mean, I'm almost going political, but I'm not. Don't hold me to politics. I'm not very good at it, and I don't like the person in charge. But it's almost like you set the standard. If you're the manager, you set the standard. This is the bar. This is what I expect. This is what I did as a player, and I can never say that Lampard wasn't a professional. There might have been occasions where he got sent off for something stupid, but you don't have that with Rooney, and I do think in time he's going to have to get out of that. It can't be held against him, but at the minute I almost do hold it against him without meaning to. Do you get what I mean? So it's difficult. Do you think,
despite what we're saying, do you think if either of those managers this week were given a 3.5-year contract, do you think either one of those would unite the fan base?
No.
Rooney and Lampard and talk.
No.
And the problem, and here's why I think it'll be Ferguson. I think the problem that the board have got, for the first time in a long time, really, they are now under the microscope of Evertonians. There was a sack the board chant. You'll know more about that than me. There was a sack the board chant yesterday. There was a banner. The 27 campaign is more against the board than it was ever against the current manager. That the board should never have appointed this manager. It's another incorrect decision in a long history of incorrect decisions. For the first time ever, or not ever for Farhad Moshiri, and this board for a long time are under the microscope. I think this season they will think Duncan Ferguson will improve the relationship between fan and club. And that's why I think they'll go there. I think they wrote the season off. I think they will just want this 27 campaign. And maybe this is why David Prentice is coming in, because he's got a history of being an Evertonian. He's got a book out, which is great. He talks about being an Evertonian. He sat in a Gladys Street. He stood in a Gladys Street. Maybe that's why they're bringing him in to improve that. I don't think we've never replaced Alan Myers from 2014 until now. There's no coincidence that we're bringing in someone that is being perceived to be one of us to improve relations. I think they will also think Duncan Ferguson will improve that. I think that's where they'll go, and I wouldn't be against it on a short-term basis.
No, and this is my argument again. If you're going to give one of these managers a 6-month contract, I'm fine, but I don't want any one of those managers, those three we've just mentioned, given a 3 or a 2-year or a 2.5-year deal. I don't want that. I want them to have a trial. I want them to see how well we do with these current players. If Ferguson does well, if we finish, I mean, being realistic, 10th or 12th actually isn't out of the rounds of policy. I'm not sitting there saying we're going to get there, by the way, but it's not out. If Duncan Ferguson was to go, right, I'm going to set out a plan, I want us to finish 12th this season, and he achieved that, then he gets the next season. He maybe gets a 2-year contract. He gets that time to spend a bit of money, make this team his own. I'm all for it. But I don't think Fran Lampard or Wayne Rooney walk in on a 6-month contract. But I think Ferguson does. And this is why I agree with you. I think it'll be Ferguson for at least 6 months.
Yeah, I can see it. And I think the problem is, if it's not Ferguson till the end of the season, if the statement reads it's Ferguson and the club hope to appoint a manager shortly, I think it's more limbo. I think they will have to say the plan is that we look at this strategic analysis that Baxendale has emailed all the season holders that's ongoing apparently. I think if they play that card and say that is ongoing and the plan is that in summer 2021 we have a 5-year plan or a 3-year plan, but until then Duncan Ferguson will be your manager. I would get behind that a lot more than I would if it was a 3.5-year deal, or if there was no length. It was just when the first time he took over, he was saying after the game, wasn't he? Each game, I don't know if it'll be here on Wednesday or I don't know if it'll be here on Saturday. I don't know. David Unsworth was the same back in 2017. He was just saying, I don't know. I think if they do appoint Duncan Ferguson, it would have to be until May. But going back to what I said at the start of the video, it's such a risk because this team aren't very good. They're just not. The new manager bounce may take you away from it, and I really hope it does. If it doesn't, is that the level of experience that we need? If your heart and head, if you compare the both, if we are in the shit going against the final 3 games of the season, I just don't know. I just hope if it is Vegas that we do get that bounce. We will on Saturday. We get through the FA Cup. We beat Leeds. That's what we need. And then the results. Look, the results. Whoever comes in now with this set of players are going to be indifferent. There's no way someone's going to come in. One of the greatest managers ever, Carlo Ancelotti, couldn't put a run together in the second half of the season last season, and some of it was his fault. He set us up certain ways which I didn't agree with. Whoever comes in, it's not going to be a change of fortune straight away. We as a fan base need to accept that. Yeah. I think Ferguson, if he got the new manager bounce and pulled us away, thank you. If he doesn't, it's just going to cause more issues, isn't it? There's no answer. I wish I had an answer. I wish I could come out and say that FFP didn't exist and Roberto Mancini was a free agent, and there's your answer. I really wish it was something like that, but we're so far away from that. It's untrue. And 2 or 3 years ago we weren't. It shows how badly we've been mismanaged. To go from appointing Carlo Ancelotti, there was talk when we sacked Ronald Koeman that Farhad wanted Diego Simeone. If you remember, he wanted Simeone to come in. Thomas Tuchel was linked. There was huge budgets to sign players, and this is the same regime, and now we're FFP. And I don't mean this is any disrespect, but we're signing Andros Townsend on a free transfer, and we're looking at, is Frank Lampard good enough to keep Everton in the Premier League and things? And it goes back to, I know what the theme of this show was at the initial start, and it goes back to how mismanaged this football club has been over the past few years. It's an insult to Evertonians. It's an absolute insult to us that we have to watch that. And I'd accept watching it if we had an owner who had no money and he was just trying his best and there was no alternative. But this guy has came in with fucking bags of sand. He's came in with the crown jewels and blew it.
Yeah,
he's blew it.
Yeah, he's not a lottery winner that goes bankrupt.
Who was that fella, the Scottish fella or the Geordie fella years ago? Remember? Yeah. That's Everton Football Club. That lottery winner is Everton Football Club.
I'm conscious of time, but I do have a couple more questions. But
right, my little girl's crying downstairs, so the longer you keep me up here, the better for me.
Oh, sounds.
Well, my wife's got it downstairs, so keep me up here. Let's do 3 hours. Let's do 5 hours.
Right, 2 other names that have been linked. One on Twitter and a few on Twitter and certainly one that you're going to know that I'm going to mention. So one name is David Ancelotti.
Okay, very, very highly regarded by Evertonians. Is that? I mean, I don't know. Is that enough? Is the fact that some Evertonians think that he was behind the success of a 10th place finish, which at the end of the day it was. I understand it was 59 points. I understand we were second on Boxing Day. I understand we were right in the running for Europe until the final week when we got beat by Sheffield United on that Sunday night. I understand that, but in the cold light of day, He was part of the coaching staff that finished 10th. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to think about that. I think he got lots of praise. I think he engaged with Evertonians on Twitter. I think that went a long way. I think he sort of got the club, and I think there was lots of fans who said that they've seen him around and he was great, and I get that. But is he? He's actually less qualified than Wayne Rooney and Frank Lampard.
Yeah, he's
He's less qualified. He's a coach. He's a coach who assists as much as he's allowed to assist with input, as much as he's allowed to put his input in. I don't know whether his coaching sessions or the coaching sessions last year, where we were great at set pieces, defending and attacking, where we were great at certain tactically in certain games, I don't know if they were his or he was ordered to carry out the little bits and bobs that would make that work. Without knowing those things, I don't know. That he could come in and be fantastic. It's a red or black. He could come in and it'd be an absolute shit show. I personally wouldn't go near that one. I think if we're going to criticise Duncan Ferguson on this show for not flying the nest, it would be wrong to not do the same to David Angelotti.
Agreed. And that's what to know for me. So just so you know, I don't see how a season-long stay or 18 months, long stay in the Premier League at a club is enough to give you the keys to the car. Two other players that I've read tweets about. One is Graham Potter. I think. Do we agree that I don't think he leaves Brighton right now for Everton?
All right, take that badge, take that tower off your chest. Would you leave Brighton for Everton? Would you leave Brighton for Everton right now? No. I mean, I imagine there would be a conversation, and the conversation would always end up within the shit FFP. So we'll try and support you. If you sell someone, you can have the money. But as it stands, we need you to make Michael Keane and Andre Gomez better players and stay in the Premier League this season, and then we'll try and support you in the summer. Opposed to the model at Brighton, where there's less pressure again, and he's going to walk into pressure. There's no pressure. I know there was a big thing where the Brighton fans booed when they drew the other week, but that's the only pressure I've ever seen him under. And he came out and he said on his press conference after that game, he mentioned the Brighton fans booing. If you think that's bad, mate, fucking hell, go 1-0 down at Goodison Park. And he's going to know all that. He's going to have people around him who are going to advise him. He's a Premier League manager. I don't think, unless he had assurances over control, where El Ghazi is not going to be pushed on him because the agent is a cousin or a friend or is shagging someone's cousin that I know. If he's going to have control and he's going to have financial backing, yes, he gets neither in this current Everton setup. I don't see it. I would take him. Of course I would. I would. I think he's a good manager. What about you?
Yeah, I'd take him. I just don't think it happens. And I think the only way it would happen is if Everton were in the position where it was in, say, 2019, where we could literally go to Brighton. Look, we might not be higher than you in the league right now, but we've got £100 million to spend. You can sign whoever you want in January. You go and do what you like. Then you take the job. I think Everton are a bigger club in terms of stature than Brighton. That's not criticism of Brighton. It's just historically we are bigger. However, Brighton are much better run. Their recruitment's been fantastic, and they're building a decent side there at Brighton. Really,
can you imagine Farhad Moshiri giving Graham Potter a tour of Finch Farm right now, and Graham Potter's asking the questions as to what the structure is like, what players are coming through, and then Farhad Moshiri can't name. He can't identify John Ebrell. He doesn't know who John Ebrell is because he's not brought him in. No. The point I'm making is that the manager's going to walk into a structure that's not quite there with massive pressure. Unless you're backed heavily, you're not going to do it.
And the only other one, and this is one that I don't think would happen for a few reasons, but this is one that I've seen. Mikel Arteta.
Never happening.
For various
Never
reasons.
in a million years is that happening.
Arsenal fans. So let me put the reasons why he may. Let me just put that.
Okay.
Arsenal fans, on the whole, I would say, through my friends at AFTV and other YouTube channels, they would get rid of Mikel Arteta tomorrow. They would get rid of Mikel Arteta tomorrow. It would be an answer to most of their prayers, if anything. The negative is Mikel Arteta probably knows that his bread is buttered at Arsenal because, yes, he's going to be a bit of a whipping boy for the board, but he knows that he's been given the time to shape that team, and that team have gone from, in my opinion, about the 10th or 12th best team in the league to fighting it out for 4th in the Champions League this season. I think they've done a good job. He would not leave that job for Everton right now. That's why I don't think he would.
I agree, and I think Arsenal fans are a little bit like us now, where there's years of frustration building up. Yeah. So when things go south at that moment, it all comes out. I don't think he's a bad coach. I think he looks to be trying to implement something there. From his point of view, there are two exceptional teams, and I hate saying that, two exceptional teams in the league this season. There's a third who are outstanding as well. 4th is to play for. You don't leave that. No. You don't. He could take Arsenal into the Champions League this season, and there's a realistic chance. He doesn't love Everton Football Club. He proved that when he put a transfer request on a half an hour on deadline day and then kissed the Arsenal badge when he scored the penalty in the FA Cup quarter-final against us. That's not an Evertonian. That's someone who's seen Everton, rightly or wrongly, as a stepping stone to Arsenal Football Club. He's not leaving Arsenal for Everton. No chance.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay. I couldn't agree more as well, by the way. So I think we are both agreed we would give it to Duncan Ferguson for 6 months and see where we are in the summer.
Look, who knows where you'll be in the summer. The positive mental attitude here is that Duncan Ferguson gets the feel-good factor around the football club. In the second half of the season, we have some really good results at home where the fans are enjoying going to the football games again. Because I don't think a lot of fans have enjoyed going to the football games. Maybe Arsenal aside. I know the fans who I didn't go to the Arsenal game. I had some issues, so I didn't go. But I know the fans who were there, my friends, that said it was a great night. Apart from that, I don't think there's been a lot of enjoyment. If Duncan Ferguson can bring that back, and if Duncan Ferguson can bring some points on the road for those magnificent, you're included in this, magnificent away following, to give them some away, to give you and your little boy an away day where Everton have just won and look great, and then the players come over to the away end at the end and we're all together. If he can do that and Everton navigate through the season and we get to a position in the summer where there's a pot of gold to play with and some managers who've moved on from the current roles then look at it differently to what they would now, that for me is the ideal scenario. There's not at this moment there's no standout candidate, so I'd be comfortable with Duncan just having it. But what I wouldn't be comfortable with is a 3.5 year deal for Duncan Ferguson. I think that would probably be another recipe for chaos, because there's no support, there's no director of football, there's I mean, I imagine his relationship with Bill Kenwright is really strong. I imagine it is. He's got Bill Kenwright there, but
I'm just going to cut in. It's official. It's breaking news. Rafa Benitez has been sacked by Everton Football Club. Announcement has been made. As far as I know, Paul Joyce has definitely just tweeted it. I think Sky Sports have just reported it as well. I don't know if Everton have made an official statement because we're here. However, I understand that Rafa Benitez has officially been sacked from Everton Football Club.
Needed to happen. We came on the show, didn't we, knowing it was going to happen? And I think everybody watching the show now will have seen it. But we came on at 2:00. Not it wasn't confirmed. But just to go back to my earlier points, Mike, I think he's not the only problem, or he wasn't the only problem at the football club. But by God, this season he was a big problem. He was a big part of it. He set them up, and those players are not guilty. They don't get away with it. A few of those have now seen a few managers off, and I think there's an element of downing tools amongst a few of them, so that they are not innocent by any stretch of the imagination. But I do feel they've been mismanaged. I think they're better than 16th. But it wasn't only that. It was what the figure of him was causing. He was adding to the divide. He got applauded onto the pitch on the first game of the season. He got cheered. What more can we as a fan base do?
No. Everton have released a statement according to a picture I've just received, and it says a permanent manager will be announced in due course.
Fuck off. What did I say on this show before that I didn't want to happen?
Leave
it in limbo.
You see, the way that it's not. But they haven't. What I'm saying.
Never learn.
They haven't said that Duncan's taking a game.
We're going to release this video and it's all going to be announced, and this reaction's just going to be. You are getting whoever's watching this now is getting the
this video's going out now.
Is it? Okay.
It's going.
Okay, well,
I think it's going to be fair. I think they're going to give it to him.
If I take my emotion out of it,
yeah,
because that's fucking riled me up. To be honest, it's got me off on one. If I try and take that away from it, they have to announce that tonight.
Yeah,
we can't. If those players turn up tomorrow, what the hell are they turning up to? A statement? Is someone going to put a fucking statement on the manager's door and say, "Well, you've got Unsworth, you might have Ferguson, who knows?" That can't. I hope that is a statement that's going to hold for a couple of hours. And if it doesn't, then we haven't learned. We haven't learned. It's only going to be Ferguson or Rooney or Lampard. There's no way, because
to move this quick though. I don't think it can be Rooney. It's got to be either Ferguson or Lampard. It's got to be Ferguson.
They weren't prepared for it because he done the post-match press conferences yesterday. He managed the team yesterday, so they weren't prepared for it. I'll be very surprised if it's someone out the blue or it's someone that we've not spoke about. Ferguson, Lampard, Rooney, or Santo. I think one of those four, or another free agent. I'll tell you what though, if it's fucking Avram Grant, this show is cancelled.
I've got one last thing I wanted to mention to you, and I think it's fitting now. Lots of fans come up to me yesterday. Actually, do you know what? Let me. I mean, we're now.
You weren't signing programs again, were you, and taking photos?
No. I had a couple of people come up to me for photos, which really, by the way, guys,
it's really a celebrity.
No, I'm not. Though that's the thing, but it hits me. It hits me hard, if you get what I mean, because I am just a fan. We are all just fans. I don't even. Like YouTube channels, and your boy will watch YouTube channels and whatever, and you'll watch YouTube channels, and it'll be like, I'm a fan of his content. I don't even like saying the people that watch me are fans. They're not fans. We're all fellow fans. We're all subscribers. We all support the club. And if you don't support Everton, then you just enjoy the content I make. I don't big myself up. So yesterday was really weird for me because I did get a few people coming over. I did have a few people have a chat with me, which was lovely, really nice. But two fans come up to me after the game. One on my match reaction, which you would have saw. Mm-hmm. And off camera, he had a little chat with me. And another guy walking to the car come over to me and said, essentially, I don't think this guy particularly likes me, actually, but he walked up to me and says, "Mike, the fan channels, content creators, the people that have got this bit of audience, this exposure, need to come together and do a protest or do something." And what I'm going to say is, do you think this 27th minute, do you think the potential sitting is enough against the board? And equally, if Ferguson is announced as manager today, do you think there's going to be one?
I can't speak for them, and I don't want to speak for them because I know they're doing such a great job online, and it's a campaign that's so close to their heart. And look, I back it, to be honest. I'm not publicly part of it or nothing. I'm not privately part of it, but I do back it. I do see where it's coming from. I don't know. I think it may be a case that they they maybe reevaluate as to what's next, and maybe it won't be the sit-in. I think what Everton Football Club have to do this week is communicate. God, if anybody from this football club, and I imagine there is someone whose sole job is to look around and gauge reactions on channels like this and report it to their heads of departments and things, communicate. Look, and I've said on this show that Bill Kenwright shouldn't be part of it. Even if it's Bill Kenwright, put him on a fucking director's chair with a backdrop of the ground. Let him speak to the fans. Even if it's not an apology, even if it's just communication, and we say, look, here's where we are as a football club right now. We want to explain what we hoped for in the summer with Rafael Benitez. We want to explain why we've made the decision right now. We want to explain that we are still ambitious, that we are still looking to Bramley more, that we are still a club that don't want to be a museum. Even if somebody sits as a figurehead in front of a GoPro and communicates on the official club website or club YouTube channel, that has to be done this week. A statement on Twitter or a statement on the website will not suffice.
Or through TalkSport.
Or through fucking TalkSport, which I'm sick of. I knew our manager was being sacked last night because TalkSport sources were telling me. Ridiculous. Now, I don't expect the Everton website to be reporting that. My link to that is they tell me more about my club than my club tells me. And if anybody thinks a column from Denise or an email from Denise is enough, it's not. I appreciate the Bramley Moore update. I appreciate the Everton in the community more than you will ever know. But when things are this bad, the figurehead or the public figurehead needs to come out. And if the 27 campaign are going to reevaluate where they are, then okay. But Everton have got a box clever here. They have to communicate this week. They have to. And I don't mean a statement on the website. I mean communication. And even at the end of that communication, what Everton should be doing at the end of that is saying we've reevaluated the previous decision to hold a virtual AGM that will now no longer take place. We will take in a full Q&A from shareholders face to face.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah, my point on the protest was, and absolutely, it's great work, and the sitting. I don't think the sitting works because it doesn't affect the board. The board can still go home. What the sitting affects is the stewards, the people, the caretaker that don't get to go home, and that's fair. I don't think it's the right way. The 27-minute leaving his seats, I'm all for. I just don't think it got enough traction in terms of like more people in the stadium doing it. But I'm all for some action. Genuinely, I think we need a protest, like an actual on the street outside Goodison protest. And I know not every fan channel and content creator will agree with me, but I really do think we need to do something very bold, very brave, and maybe something that a lot of us maybe haven't done in the past. I know that the Blue Union and whatever was did a protest in the past.
But the Blue Union, the Blue Union, and if I was part of this 27, if I was in this group, my suggestion would be is the Blue Union released scarves. And there was a visual in the stadium of people wearing these scarves. Now, if the 27 campaign had a certain colour or a certain scarf or something that you could see all around the stadium, people are wearing that, you would see it. I think they're similar with Manchester United with the Glazers. Did they wear green and scarves and things?
Yeah, green and yellow. Yeah.
I think that would be a visual. And all the banners any banners across the ground that weren't confiscated were in that colour. You could even just put the Everton logo on that colour of the banner. And how could the club take that down? I think that would be the way to go. But I'm not part of it. I don't know. But I do support it. I do.
Yeah. And the last thing, I'm just going to make a bit of a statement, only a minute long or so. But firstly, Farhad Bashiri, thank you for sacking Rafa Benitez. Thank you for the new stadium. I think you've made several huge mistakes in your tenure as Everton owner. Some of the Rafa manager serials have been poor, the spending's been horrendous, and only you know that because you look at your bank account or wherever the money goes, and You'll know how bad they are when you're not getting any money back. But we need direction. We need a plan, and we need to know that. We need a board that are adequate at their job, whether that be a business person, whether that be a player liaison officer that deals with player matters, whether it be a director of football, whether it be fan representation on the board. It doesn't really matter. We need a board that is fit for purpose, because we don't have one. And that, again, is no individual dig at any of our current board members, but we've seen 6 years of a mess, so it doesn't work. So that's, whoever you are, it doesn't work. And I really hope that this is the start of uniting the fans again, because that is absolutely pinnacle and priority for where Everton Football Club need to work back on. At one point, and people don't necessarily like this strapline, we were the people's club. We're absolutely not right now. So that's just my little spiel on it. You will see that Millsy has frozen. That will be because he's gone onto a different website, I suspect, or whatever, but he may have gone. But guys, we are going to leave it there. Thank you ever so much. And we will see you soon, guys. Peace.